Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So season 33 of Battlegrounds is about to start, and we have to talk about the metas, right? So it is going to start in less than 24 hours. In this video in particular, we're going to talk more about the victory track and the Gladiator Circuit week 1 and 2 meta. I will make a special video for the weeks 3 and 4 as well before the season starts, because realistically that is who people rank up for more so than the other one. But again, to some people who mainly are focused on getting to the Gladiator Circuit, this might be the more important video. So week 1 and 2 and week 3 track. We have Saga Boost, the Dormant Virus, which is kind of nice, you know, gets you some extra critical damage rating and critical resistance. It fluctuates, it's active, and then it goes on cooldown. That's fine, it's nothing too significant really. Saga Boost Outbreak is again more impactful in the other meta. It's still helpful in this one as well, but Saga attackers have a 10% chance to spread their outbreak on the defender each time the contact is made. Chance increased to 30% while the Dormant Virus is active. Outbreak deals 10% of the attacker's direct damage over 8 seconds, and applying Outbreak a total of 10 times upgrades Dormant Virus to an indefinite spreading virus with a 40% chance to apply Outbreak. So effectively, Saga attackers, you're gonna get a chance to inflict a direct damage degen on opponent. That's passive. That'll synergize more with the other node. The most important nodes here is the Fighting Fit. So each time skill attacker is immune to or purifies a debuff, Cleanse does count as well. Gain an indefinite Fury passive, increasing attack rating by 70%, max attacks 5. Now this is a huge damage boost skill class. In general, I am not a fan of metas that, you know, so heavily favor one class over another on a personal note. But the point is that in this meta, skill attackers with Purify abilities will get some crazy attack benefits. Then you have Accident Prone, that effectively every 5 seconds will inflict a debuff on you in order of Weakness, Disorient, Arm Break, and Special Lock. Each debuff lasts 10 seconds and then cycle repeats. Now the issue is we don't exactly know the potency of these, but the weakness feels massive. That weakness does reduce the damage quite drastically. So this meta has a very kind of distinct duality in it. If you're not using a skill champion, just about every fight is going to be longer than it normally is, because you get weakness and because it interacts with inequity, and you're typically going to have 2-3 debuffs on you, and that in general, even without the weakness, reduces your damage output if opponent's running inequity, but especially with the weakness. And then also the Disorient will make your parries fail, for instance, and the Special Lock is going to mess up your rotations. So some champions are not as compatible with, you know, the meta if you do have very strict rotations, and it's in general going to be a very annoying thing. If you're using a skill champion, however, and you can get rid of these, then you're going to be finishing fights in like very, very quick and fast time. Therefore, we obviously need to take a look at the skill champions first, and there's a ton that work, but there is a very big warning that I do want to give out to the viewers, because there will be a ton of champions that seem like they're going to be insanely good and useful on paper, and you might even see videos that seem like they are confirming it. For instance, you know, getting Jabari Panther and nuking down something in, you know, 25 seconds, or Hitmonkey destroying things in 25 seconds. That is good, yes, when it works. It would have been crazy good about 2 years ago. But the reality of the game right now is that what matters most in the Battlegrounds right now is not even the amount of time. Obviously that does matter. It's whether these champions can do the fights at all. It's like, for instance, one of the reasons why Shatra is such a great and useful champion is because she has, you know, some of the highest amount of matchups against relevant defenders that she can do. So the way this spreadsheet works, by the way, and it's just kind of starting out again because I restarted doing it, is I picked about 30, I believe there's 30 of the 36 of the toughest defenders in the game. Champs like Bullseye, Yelena, you know, Atuma, Core, Nick Fury, Kindred, Enchantress, Destroyer, Onslaught, Serpent, so on and so forth. Basically the best defenders in the game currently that people face the most. And then we kind of go champion by champion how many of these matchups these champs can do. The point that I'm getting at is, for instance, I added in like Elsa in this clip. For instance, Elsa is going to be a crazy attacker because of nodes, because she's going to have a ton more damage. Problem with Elsa, for instance, is that she barely does any of the relevant defenders. When we look at in a generic meta, she would only classify as nuke or capable at offensive champion against 8 of them. And then even if you add in the nuke plus yes plus somewhat decently good, she only does 15 of them. And as a comparison, for instance, Counter does 23, well. So that means you do not want to overload your deck on these crazy good and fast skill champions, because if you draft a Hitmonkey and your opponent then goes ahead and drafts, I don't know, let's start with Serpent and then go with a whole bunch of other champions, you're just not going to have a chance to use that Hitmonkey or Elsa or something. So it is super important to have some of these nukes, like Elsa, or maybe, I kind of like Moleman. He's very good for these nodes too, lots of damage, and he has some defensive value. But don't want to put in like 5 offensive only nuke type champions for this meta that will kind of get stuck in your draft. But obviously we need to take a look at the skill class a bit more. Hitmonkey has great synergies with the nodes because he does purify the debuffs, and once he does, he hits a lot harder and he can nuke fights. Then we have Baron Zemo. He also does quite well because you do get, number 1, the Furies, and number 2, when you purify 5 debuffs, so in 25 seconds, your opponent's going to get rooted automatically, where you can kind of go ham faster, so he's, decent. Black Panther Silver has easy access with that level 1 to the Furies as well. You get 4 cleanses there, and, besides that, Shield is a fairly popular option here too, and Crossbones has been great. I did like Serpent with like 90% health, punching up with rank 3 Crossbones against rank 4 Serpent in like 50 seconds or under it, so that was kind of nice. Moleman is great. Kingpin, I've seen a lot of people running 6-star Kingpin in this meta. Jabari again can do it. Nick is an absolute animal in this meta too, because you just need heavy or activate special attack, knock opponent down, and you're gonna get these Furies, and the Furies plus bleeds is crazy good damage. But again, you do not want to overshoot with the skill champions too much, because they can kind of get stuck in your draft and draft options. It is important, again, to have, it is more important to have, enough counters for Serpent and Jean and Zola and so on and so forth than it is to have super fast nukes. That said, let's move on to other classes, because obviously the skill is the one that is supercharged and that is powerful, but again, do not make a mistake of overloading your deck with skill class too much. Then, in tech class, none of the tech champions really benefit from the nodes. It's more so a question of which ones work well enough, kind of. So I still find, it's basically just like your highest ranked tech champions that kind of answer some of the defensive problems, because mutants will be popular defenders here. So somebody like, Red Skull, Starkhand Spider-Man still useful. I still find Jack worth running, because he does most of the relevant mutant defenders just about the best. And again, Zola obviously is a defender, might still be useful. But then, again, more so in the tech class, if you go further, whichever champions you have ranked up the highest, can work reasonably well. There's nothing wrong with like running Shocker. He's going to do just fine in this meta. If you have a big Sentinel, sure, go for it. But, there's going to be no champions that really benefit from it at all, and you're just going to end up resorting to whichever ones you have at, rank 3 and rank 4 level, and do the relevant matchups. Then the mutant class, and the mutant class is going to be the second, if not the most important class in the entire season, basically, because they're doing very well in the next meta as well. Captain Britain is an absolute menace, because again, the tech champions are not going to be as popular. Skill champions will be. She does have a fairly limited amount of counters, and therefore she's going to be a very popular defensive option. Jean Grey is crazy. She's even crazier in the next week meta because requiring people to intercept with reverse controls can get messy fast. But in this meta, again, she's super valuable too. Mr. Sinister, still, useful, viable. Onslaught is obviously who you're also going to want to use. Two champions that I'm currently experimenting with in my deck at the moment is Havoc and Bishop. And part of the reason here is because champions mainly used in both of the metas will kind of rely on dot or, be a lot of skill champs running around. And these guys can kind of punish you for that. So I'm still testing this out, but they do have definite defensive potential, both of them. And, they are perfectly viable to be used defensively. There's nothing, stopping you in particular. And then moving on to Science class. Science class is the one class that most people kind of want to avoid. The two obvious champs to run here are, the Spider-Woman and Photon. I do think both of them are still worth running. But then taking a look at Science class overall, considering that there will be like large amount of skill champs running around, every single one of your science champions is going to be working, less well as they normally would be, basically. You might, again, if you do have like a rank 4 pig, fair enough, do run that. But again, be just wary that any defensive science purpose use champion is not going to be doing as well. And additionally, this meta isn't particularly friendly neither to science or mystic champions. So then they're just not going to be as potent, and they're not going to be running around as much either. So yeah, as I said, Spider-Man, Photon, that's fair enough. Maybe Thing if you have a big Thing, because Thing with the Fury, not all the skill champions can destroy Thing. So Thing might be worth it, as well as, Void has interactions with the debuffs, and you can still, use Void as a trap, basically, unless opponent's going to have a skill champion that immediately gets rid of those debuffs. You can still get some unavoidable damage going there. But again, it's kind of like an iffy mechanic where chances are opponents will draft, the hit monkeys, the Elsas, the whatnots. So be wary of that. In Mystic class, again, Mystic class is not doing too well with these nodes either. Special Luck really messes with most of the Mystic Champions rotation. Weakness messes with Tiger a lot. And it affects damage significantly to a whole bunch of champs too. So, Nico is absolutely still worth running, especially as a defensive threat as well, because there's not going to be much science champions present, but there will be skilled champs that absolutely nuke her too, though. To me, one of the best options has been Werewolf by Night, just because he's like extremely versatile in terms of matchups that he does outside of his relevant classes, and he doesn't get affected too much. Because his bursts effectively scale with base attack only, and his raptures, each blood hit inflicts rapture debuff dealing X amount of damage over, scaling with base attack only. So, weaknesses and inequity doesn't really affect him that much. So he has been doing quite well for me. Then we have Kushala that works kind of like well enough. She doesn't work like as well, but for instance, Disorient doesn't mess with her that much because she does have increased ability accuracy. Still, not as good as it could be. Kindred is a fairly dangerous defender, again, largely because not that many science champs around. And then in the Cosmic class is just the regular suspects. We do have quite clear Cosmic top, I would say, of Carolina, Dean, Serpent, Dark Phoenix, and Thanos are, the main Cosmic champions, effectively, that are both A, worth running, and B, most of them perfectly capable on defense still. Super important thing to note out here as well, Dark Phoenix, I believe Serpent, and Carolina are all Power Lock immune. So that's actually more helpful than most people think in this meta, because at the very least, even if your damage is kind of reduced somewhat in some of these champions' cases, you do not get your rotations messed with. Another Cosmic champion that I noticed and has been doing reasonably well here has been Maestro. Because once he does get his, glancing up, a ton of champs do not really work with him. That typically would be good in this meta. And many of his Mystic counters, are just not particularly great in this meta. So that is kind of how this meta looks like, basically. Obviously, there are other champions that do and do not work. As soon as I finish Victory Track, I will upload a video with the exact deck that I used myself to get that done. These both of the metas are going to be fairly finicky. And again, this meta is going to be very either you nuke or the fight sucks type thing. Because again, skill champs, if you do get the right matchups, can absolutely tear through the fights. And then there's going to be just about every other fight that is going to be somewhat finicky and annoying, especially when we're going to get to the Gladiator circuit with insult to injury, combining with disorients being present. It's not going to be a fun time. It's like parry is going to be an impossibility yet again, because typically you have at least like 2 of these active at a time. So that will be minus 30% ability accuracy on top of everything else. It's not going to be a great time. It's going to be a frustrating time, I should say. But then we also obviously have the week 3 and 4 meta, which I'm going to make a video about for tomorrow. And this one's quite interesting as well. Ebb and flow intercept, that's always a fun note to have. Right, let me know what you guys think, and I'm going to catch you guys soon. Bye-bye. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about